Good afternoon, this is Richard Gomez, and I'm doing this video for my Diversity Awareness course at the University of Maryland University College. I'd like to first of all express my perspective of this course by thanking my fellow students for their genuine interest in the subject matter of diversity and social science in general. The quality of our discussions lent themselves to digging deeper, truly understanding the respectful attitude that we each afforded one another, allowed for freedom of discussion, the overall agreement to seek an understanding or seek agreement and then respectfully disagree in certain areas, really lent us the ability to really sink our teeth into something. And there was so much more to social science and diversity than any of us, I think, really knew. And the real credit for all of that goes to our professor, Devidra Bazemore-Blue. She is the executive director of Southern Maryland Counseling and Coaching. I took the liberty of looking her up online at southernmarylandcounseling.com. And this organization describes their services as being exclusively providing in-home and or in the community counseling. And I feel like that was your approach to her approach to this course as well, really getting us to bring it home to our communities, relating these subjects to our own environment. Part of that was our interviews. The first interview we did was with individuals in our workplace or community to get them to define for themselves what diversity was. And we discovered that it was quite limited, oftentimes to cultures or the color of your skin or the language you spoke, and oftentimes not including at all how the individual person themselves defined themselves, how they describe their orientation, for example, or sexual orientation. But that is something we've learned, that most of the things that we classify as race is a artificial construct, and nothing showed us that more than some of the resources that we have available to us. And I appreciate all these resources because they literally brought us right into organizations that are doing much for activism and causes for diversity, awareness, for equality and understanding. For example, race, the Power of an Illusion on pbs.org. Beyond Whiteness, which is on beyondwhiteness.com. The beyondwhiteness.com is interesting to me because it starts off with if you go to the website, there's 3 videos right on the front page, three videos that are part of a series called Racism, A History, a 3-part British documentary series originally broadcast on BBC 4 in March 2007. One of the videos here talks about the genocide that occurred 50 years before the Nazis came into power in Germany. And this genocide occurred in Africa. And what this documentary shows is that the history of the European attitude toward black people around the world, especially with the Slave Trade Act of 1807. Eliminating or outlawing slavery was a big, successful, I think it was a 40-year process, and they accomplished a great deal with that. But the next phase of that ambition now really included a lot of superiority, or looking at individuals as inferior. So the next step was freeing slaves, but then now the objective was to bring them up, to help bring them up to the next culturally evolutionary stage of human development, bring them up to our level, because they were inherently inferior. And someday they might be equal to us, but they were not now. So this attitude lent itself to abuse. And I think anytime you have a hierarchy, you're going to identify someone at the bottom end of that hierarchy, you're going to end up abusing them. Even if you have all the laws in the world set into place, if you're inherently believe that they are inherently weaker or less than you are, then you have a right to abuse them. And that's exactly what happened here with genocides. And the experiments they did on them all led to the same type of experiments that fed the Nazi endeavors. So I'd like to look at that from the perspective. My analogy of that is that, as human beings, we have to be independent. We have to be interdependent with one another. It's not just a nice thing to do to consider everybody equal. We have to really realize that if we are equal, then there's an inherent need there for us to be interdependent with one another. I think of the analogy of a boat. If the planks underneath that boat are not treated equal, if you don't understand they're equal in building that boat, and you don't fit each one of those planks together, when you put that boat on the water, it's going to have problems. Okay? When you understand they're equal and they have to be fitted together in order to maintain the integrity of that boat, then you can have a solid boat and it can be functional. And I think our society hurts itself by failing to recognize the inherent inequality and the need for interdependency, to be locked in tight with one another, to maintain the integrity of our human race for its very survival is important. I'd like to talk about the series, The New Americans. The New Americans really drove home for me the idea of immigrants that were having to leave their cultures for a new one because they felt there was better opportunities there, despite some of the problems that they faced. American superior attitudes. One person on there said, told his son, Americans always think they're better than us. They always think they have better answers than us. So he had to prepare his son for that and going to school. But there was definitely opportunities here, and even for their own social activism to bring about awareness of the Middle East. The Palestinian Bride especially brought home those points. Naima Saadi really brought home that point because she challenged and went beyond some of her restrictions of her Muslim faith, but she was still respectful of them. So there's a little bit of tension there. In my opinion, I believe that if we're going to change the world, we really have to take on an attitude of an immigrant. An immigrants to a new world, to being new Americans ourselves, because the world really is made up of us. And the things we may have to give up, some of our old convictions or old belief systems or ideologies, it's worth challenging those because we have much more to gain. Thank you.